So when I dropped out of school, I came back home. I was bullshitting. I was trying to work, trying to make money. I was committing crimes. I was doing dumb shit, man. And after making some bad choices and getting back up a few times, my mom was basically like, "You gotta move out this house."
That was rock bottom for you.
Yeah, she's like, "You gotta move out this." Because I was in Atlanta. I was homeless for a while. I was living at Lenox train station. When I moved back to Philly,
Really?
that's why I went back to Philly. I was like, "Yo, my mom house ain't the best move, but it's better than the train station in Atlanta." Because people think Atlanta's not cold. Atlanta's not cold if you're inside.
Right.
If you're outside, everything is cold. Miami is cold if you're living on the street.
Exactly right.
You know, so I moved back home. I started working. Went back to Temple. I hustled. I had to catch up. I was behind in school now. I grinded. I finished in 2 years. I just
got all your credits.
I got all my credits. 2.5 years. I finished it. So I took a summer thing. And I went hard. I was taking like one semester. I took like 24 credits. I was taking like 8 classes.
Is this to get it out the way, or are you once again learning and enjoying what you're doing? Is it a grind? Or
It was just a grind. I was just trying to get done. I felt like I was behind. It wasn't until my last semester in college. I needed one more class. Like again, you're only supposed to take 18 credits. I took 2 more extra classes, and I snuck and did it. I filled out the card, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just do it online, right?" And I looked in the book for a class. I needed any class, could be any class in the world, and I saw a class called The Black Woman, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it'll probably be black women in it,
right?
You know, and sure enough,
it might be a gut too. But you think it was gonna be a gut?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was gonna be some bullshit, you know. So I got in there, and it was me, this old head who was like maybe like 15, 20 years older than me, and like 22 black women, and like 8 of them was bad.
Moisturous.
Yeah.
Moisturous.
Well,
He walked in there, forget it.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I ain't gonna say that, but I'll say for me, that's what got me there.
Right.
But then the professor, Renoir McDonough, had me read these books, Black Feminist Thought, Patricia Hill Collins, you know, Critical Race Feminism. I was reading books on feminism and black womanhood. And not only did I learn a lot about feminism, and did I learn how to listen to the voices of black women, but also I learned that I love to read and write for a living. The idea of reading and writing for a living had never crossed my mind. Even my parents were like, "Yo, you need a meal ticket, you need a job." The idea of being a professor or a scholar was not something that seemed viable to me. A couple years earlier, I had seen Michael Eric Dyson at Morehouse speak at an event. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but I want to do that when I grow up.
You felt the power of his words.
I felt the power. I was moved by it. I'd never seen anything like that.
Right.
So that was in the back of my mind, but then I put it away after all that life shit happened. That when I went back to that class, I realized, yo, I can do this. That's when I started taking school seriously. That's when I fell more in love with not just books and ideas, but with the idea of being a scholar. I went to grad school. I went to Penn. Michael Eric Dyson actually ended up coming my second year to the school and working there. He became my mentor.
Now, how did that happen? How did he become your mentor?
Ain't that many black people in graduate school. So, you know what I mean? But it wasn't just that. That's why he probably remembered me. But I walked up to him and said, "Yo, I'd love to work with you." I said, "Can I TA for you? I'll do it for free. I don't care." He was teaching a course on Tupac. So I went over there.
How was that, man?
It was amazing, man. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like, I learned a bunch. I felt like I was taking the class as much as I was. I learned how to lecture. Like preachers say, you learn how to preach. You preach like somebody else before you preach like yourself.
Right.
I learned to teach and function like him and Cornell West and others before I learned to be like myself.
Right.
And I watched that. I watched what he did, how he engaged. I learned a bunch. And from that on, he was like my big brother, man. And because we had a lot of like. We were a lot alike. We both grew up in certain situations. We both had dealt with a lot of same family issues and problems. We both were in the academy, but not of the academy.
Right.
We both love hip hop. We both love to talk shit. We both love to cuss. We both love to laugh. You know what I mean?
He loves to talk shit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In the best way. That's my OG, man.
Right.
And so we connected, man. And then later that year, they dropped my funding at Penn, right? They didn't pay for my program, which is fucked up. They paid for everybody but me.
Why?
They said I didn't have the aptitude.
Okay.
Go figure.
Look at you right now.
Yeah, man. You know, so they need to give me my fucking money back. But
Get a refund.
Yeah, it's something. But Mike Dyson ended up paying for my graduate school
Really?
for the next 3 years, man. And
That's crazy.
yeah, man.
Right.
And I got out. And he also taught me that you can use a PhD to help somebody.
Right.
He taught me that you can use a PhD to make the world better. And so I committed when I became a professor at Temple and then at Columbia and now at Morehouse that I was going to use my PhD not just to write books to other scholars, although I do that. And I love doing that. But also that I could use my intellect and my resources and my limited skills to heal people and to teach beyond the university.
To get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
What is it about academics, man, that the perception, my perception of them is that they live in these glass bubbles, man, and they don't want to get out.
Yeah, I think that's most people, though. I think most people live in glass bubbles. I think the irony of the academic is that they spend their life examining and writing about the world and often aren't in it. But most people who are doctors don't do much other than the thing they do in their office.
Right.
People who are lawyers don't do, you know what I mean? Most of us are like that. But what academics, what frustrates people about academics is that you will write about a social movement but won't leave your office to join one.
Right.
And that can be frustrating. But also that's how you're trained. And the PhD process is about learning as much as you can about the most narrow thing. Like when you study history, you don't study all of American history or all of Haitian history. You learn, I'm going to study American history in between 1920 and 1925. Right. And I might become an expert on the years 1920 and 1925. And not just everything in 1920 and 1925, but I might become an expert on like unions in the North between 19...
These particular set of movements.
Yeah, right. This particular set of movements, in this particular set of years, at this particular location. So your work is smaller and smaller, whereas as a TV commentator and as a critic or as a writer, it's the opposite, right? You need to know a little bit about everything. Whereas an academic, you almost need to know everything about nothing.
You got to be tunnel
like
so
right.
siloed.
So you'll call an academic, like, yo, why don't you come do this? That's not my area. I don't know enough about that. I don't do that. And they don't understand that. In the big, broader world, you got a tank full of gas, man. You got to go somewhere with it, man. We need your genius.
What do you think about what's going on right now with Dyson and Dr. Cornell West?
Woo, man. You know, I had Dyson on my show yesterday, man. Yes. We rapped for a long time.
I saw a bit of that.
Yeah, Mike sent me, and Cornell and I are very close too. Okay. Not as close as me and Mike, but I love them both. Right. Profoundly. And Mike sent me the piece on Friday before he sent it.
What'd you say, man?
I said, yo, dog, this is ether.
Right.
This is ether. Like, this is ether.
Is it ether or is it takeover?
Well, it's funny. It's really takeover. If you look at the content of the piece, it's takeover,
it's
right?
It's an attack.
Yeah.
Out of seemingly.
Well, I'm gonna call it an attack. Remember, takeover wasn't an attack either.
Right.
Because remember, before that was the H to the H to the Izzo, M to the Izzo,
exactly.
over the paid in full
and they had been,
freestyle.
They had been throwing the subliminals.
Yeah, etch your name out, put jiggle on top. All that shit been happening for years.
Yes.
But it was the freestyle and envy before Takeover came out that he was responding to. If we really keep it real, Nas threw the first punch, right? Take the freeway to Memphis,
Cornell
eat beans fast,
jabs, man. Cornell throws them jabs.
Oh, Cornell threw a whole lot of jabs. That's what I'm saying. He dropped it. So when he came, it's funny because when Dyson texted me the piece and he put in quotes under it, "Don't let me do it to you, Dunny, because I overdo it," right? And I just started laughing.
I love this.
So Mike was like, and Mike went hard, and I think that I don't like to get in the middle of it because, like I told him, this could be Nas, Jay-Z, or this could be Tupac, Big.
Right.
Not in the sense that y'all gonna kill each other, but in the sense of the impact they could have on our culture and our community.
And the whole nine.
Right. So I will say this: I think that Cornell West used the wrong tone, the wrong language, the wrong everything when he calls Melissa Harris Perry a fraud, when he says Michael Eric Dyson and Sharpton and them are prostitutes and whatever else, you call house Negroes and all that shit. Like, I don't think that's the way. That's not the language of civility and love, particularly when we in-house. This is our family, right?
Exactly.
So we ain't got to do that to each other. But his critique of Obama, Cornell West's critique of Obama, is on the money. His critique,
scathing, on point.
Yeah.
Right.
All that. I just said, and I said this to Cornell, so I ain't talking out of school. I said this to Cornell. I said, I agree with you on all these points, but we don't have to use this language to critique people who are in a different position, particularly folk. We ain't talking about Bull Connor. You didn't say this about Larry Summers when he tried to, give you a hard time at Harvard, so let's not do this.
We're talking about family.
It was family.
We're talking about family.
Right. Yeah, so I'm with you on that. When the piece came out, I mean, I don't agree with everything in the piece, because again, it's like the takeover. Basically, when he said, it's almost like when he said that's a one hot, song every 10-year average, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he basically said Cornell he wrote a hot book.
You haven't written shit
since '93.
93, yeah.
I'll say this: Cornell West's best work probably hasn't come in the last 15, 20 years. See, Mike Dyson is right to say that. I don't think that that's the right measure of it, right? Cornell West has written at least 3 books that are considered classics and seminal works. He's done other things. He's trained scholars. He's worked with people. He's been an amazing teacher for 30 years nonstop while doing his public work. So I don't think Cornell West is a declining scholar, even though I would love to see another major academic book from him. I would love to see him write a book on Coltrane and Anton Chekhov and all this other shit. Like, I think it's amazing. Cornell West is the most original and brilliant mind I've ever seen.
Right.
Honest to God. And I've seen everybody. And so I would love that. But even if Mike were right about that 100%, I'm not sure if we need to say that in
public.
In that piece. I mean, I didn't think that aided his argument as much. But I do think I understand. I did it. Somebody keeps saying shit about you and fucking with you and talking shit about you. At some point, you do want to clap back. Yeah. I mean, so I understand the tension. For me, my thing though is at this moment, now that this has happened, what can we do moving forward, right? How can we move forward? How can they heal? I've been trying to get them to sit down for 2 years.
Right.
Other people, Jasmine Griffin, Professor of Columbia, trying to get them to sit down. So I want them to sit down, talk this out, and heal.
Right.
But beyond that, I need us to get back to the business while we're doing that. And neither of them have stopped loving black people. Neither of them have stopped working for black people. But I need all of us to not be like fans, like Team Dyson, Team West.
Picking a dog in the fight.
Yeah, fuck that. Right. The dog in the fight should be black people when the state is murdering us.
But at the same time, we all do want to see a fight. I mean,
it's a natural inclination. Yeah, it appeals to our basis instincts.
Exactly.
You be like, dang, because first thing Mike said, I ain't gonna lie. When he said it to me, I wasn't like, oh, this is. I was like, damn, nigga, you killed him with that shit. You know, that was my first instinct.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think it was a lot of people's. Again, I don't agree with every piece of it. I think Cornell West has paid I don't get into who's a prophet, who's not thing. I would just say that he has paid a considerable price for all of us who do radical work against the margins, against power, have to pay a price. I pay a price all the time speaking out against Israel, speaking out against mass incarceration, speaking out. I mean, this shit ain't easy, man. I pay real life prices. Like I got fired from Fox News because I support Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Yeah, and Asada Shakur.
And Asada Shakur.
Yeah. I want to get to that.